while training someone, just doing something and not realizing the small little nuance things that you're doing because it's so secondhand. So it's just, you just know what you're doing. You're telling them, all right, make sure you do this and this, but you're forgetting about the 3 other steps that you're doing at the same time. You're like
in the middle of all that.
Especially if you're someone who's getting into flat glass. You come across a window and you run your blade across it and it sounds like it's covered in sand. Stop scraping the window, grab a scrubby pad, and save yourself some hassle because you're going to scratch that window.
And I still do kind of hate going up on the ladder, but I got instilled into me by my dad when installer growing up is jobs got to get done.
It's the relationships you make with people. You make that relationship with the person, not even the shop. And when those people leave, they call you. If you take care of them, that's the biggest thing is, y'all know, it's how you take care of your customers too.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Born and Tip with Miller Brothers. I'm excited to be here with my co-host, Josh.
How's it going, everybody? Today we have a very special guest, Brian Tecklenburg, out of Mansfield, Texas, Tex Window Tint. Been in the industry for over 41 years. Have a really interesting discussion on a lot of tips and tricks for the trade, some stories of projects that he's done in the past, how we met, our relationship over the years. We've known him for over 10 years. Awesome wealth of knowledge in the industry, great conversation, and we look forward to having him on again all the way in town from Texas for the rodeo. So check it out. All right. Do you remember the first time I ever talked to you?
I think so.
Yeah, I heard this story this morning, and it's actually kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when
you called me and you were a sales rep for American or whatever.
Yeah. Right after I got out of the Army, I was a sales rep in the Dallas area.
When you moved to Dallas.
Yeah. I had to go around to every shop in town and mapped it out, and I would go by area, and I would just pull up everybody I could find and not do enough research. So I pull up to your house. Nobody's there. I leave a packet on the door, but I did get a hold of you on the phone.
Yeah.
And then we ran into each other about a year later at the Panorama meeting. And I was like, oh, I think I've been to your house. Like,
it's like creepy. He's been to my house.
That was 10 years ago.
Yeah. Has it been that long?
Yeah. That was 2013.
Wow.
Yeah. So we've known each other for a while.
Yeah.
Probably almost every Panorama meeting since then. I know we're
most of them. Yeah.
Yeah. The last couple I haven't been at, but we've had somebody there.
Oh yeah. Y'all always had somebody representing.
Yeah. Well,
somebody in the family.
I think we're the only shop now that's been to or had someone represent every single meeting.
Every one of them.
Yeah. They didn't.
Yeah, we missed a few in the beginning, but we've been to almost all of them.
Yeah. Well, that visit to your house actually, like, definitely made a big impression on me as far as, like, I actually almost moved back to Texas after I came out here because I saw what you were doing, and I really liked, like, okay, you can live in a suburb outside of a big city in Dallas and run a flat glass operation out of your home. That actually, like, still to me sounds like that'd be kind of fun.
It's different.
That sounds like fun to me in the sense of, I mean, that's constant, I'd say, theme that we have talked about a couple times now is going from auto to flat. As much as auto guys think that, like, auto is the way to go. And then auto does
well, and then
pay the bills, but
yeah, and they all think it's just, I can go throw up some film and make X amount of money in a day versus cars, but they don't know all the ins and outs and everything else that goes with it and how much there's behind that.
Oh, yeah. Josh was telling me that you only do, or you're commercial, strictly commercial. You don't do any residential.
I do a little bit, but it's not that much. I mean,
assuming like friendly connections.
Yeah, or it's past or somebody will, hey, can you do, it's a few windows here and there. It might be a house every once in a while. Somebody will find us, with our website, but I don't push it. I don't have to, and they'll call me up all the time, hey, we can get you more traffic and, we can get you a bigger area. Why do I want to pay for it? I mean, you stay busy. Dallas-Fort Worth's huge, so, you can pay all the money you want and get this big area, and then you're just chasing your tail.
Crossing.
Yeah, this definitely. So when I didn't enjoy that sales rep job at all. I could not stand all the driving. And I was in the middle of a divorce at the time, so... And then we had gotten in touch at the Panorama meeting because I opened a location on the north side of Dallas up in McKinney.
McKinney Prosper.
Yeah. But we
which
actually,
is a very big booming area when you're
Yeah,
there, and it
yeah.
still is.
yeah, it's going like crazy. I go back there and I look at the area and I'm just like, man, this was going good.
It's like, look at what I walked away from.
Yeah. At the time, though, I'm glad I made the decision I made. I was
Yeah.
in the middle of the divorce. I ended up getting custody of my kids. And then once that was kind of settled and I could move,
Yeah.
I was made an offer by my parents and these guys to come back, where it was like after having run my own thing. And it wasn't entirely running my own thing. It was actually like a branch of Green Valley
Right.
Tent, because I was
Oh,
going
yeah, I
through
remember.
divorce. And so my mom was doing the books and everything remotely. The website stuff was kind of being done by who was doing it for the shop here.
Yeah.
And I didn't have to incorporate, just could kind of do a DBA and have a separate location there. And something that stuck out to me there was, we opened a location. So I did automotive
Right.
and flat glass. But like after that year and a half of running that location, go back and look at the numbers, and it's like the overhead of the shop, the time spent doing auto compared to what I was making doing flat glass.
Oh, yeah.
It's like that would have been an even more profitable endeavor if I just never dealt with the shop or the automotive at all. That's always stuck with me. So seeing people that have done it like you've done it
Well,
is
that
always
was
inspiring.
That was me. I mean, I got, I run it out of the house, but I do have a warehouse because I got way too much stuff, and you can't keep all that material and everything now with vans and all that. But I mean, the time that's spent with people calling, making appointments, and then they don't show up because they're just trying to find the cheapest, quickest deal, automotive, just where that would wear me out. So you're just stuck. You feel like you're stuck. Where with being mobile, doing commercial, or with some residential, you're on the road. I mean, it's there. People will call me all the time. Can I come by your shop and see? I'm like, no, because I'm not there. Moving, making money.
No, that's usually the response I get now with if someone actually catches me at the shop is, "You're here." I'm like, "Yeah, you got lucky." And then people will be told too, like, "Oh, we'll come down, we'll talk to him." And their front desk is like, "I don't know if he's gonna be here."
Yeah.
So we can just set up an appointment and make life
Right.
easy, and we know that was the time we're gonna meet at, because now I'm at that point now, like installing wise, I hardly install. I mean, if I'm going on an install, it's either because it's a giant job and we're trying to turn it over really quick,
Right.
with the big crew, or like at this upcoming Thursday, we have a exterior skylight job where it's going to take me and him on it,
Yeah.
just because we have the experience.
Oh, for
with
sure.
a couple of our other guys, but like I'll go on niche jobs like that. And now I'm
Well,
at the
that's
point now-
that's where I'm at. I do have some guys that help me now. But yeah, there's some of that stuff. It's just like, they don't have the experience. They haven't done it long enough, or it's gonna overwhelm them, and they're just gonna be like, oh, what do I do? How do I handle it?
Oh, okay, so that brings me to a question then. How do you expose your guys then to further them along to where you can get to the point? Because I'd say, if anything, we probably struggle with that. Or I struggle with that. I think he might be a little bit more open to letting them fly, and then
Depends on the job. Sometimes, y'all take them with me, or you have to let them go, and so kind of coach them through it. Hey, just call me. What do you need? Here's what, got it all set up. This is what it's going to be. These are the tools. This is the equipment. This is, whether it's a lift or whatever, it's like, this is what you got to do.
or a tall ladder.
Yeah.
We ran into a job recently. We had a couple of our guys. We set up the skyscraper little giant, and it was like standing. You guys had it fully extended, right?
Not feet fully,
But up about 18
there.
feet.
yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So the two guys got everything else down on the job, and he showed up at the job, and all the windows up high weren't touched yet.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, we were
No.
communication on phone too. I kind of knew that was happening. All right. So while we're talking about ladders, what's up with this Space Needle?
No, I mean, I'm just getting older, I get out there, we get up there, we went on Alaska cruise, and so, heights don't usually bother me or nothing, but then it was like stepping out on that glass floor, looking down, going, oh, whoa, I don't have control. You don't feel that control. Like, climb that ladder or whatever. I've got control of what I'm doing. There it was like, so I had a freak out moment, and I was like, maybe I need a little alcohol. Loosen me up. We got to get, but yeah.
Oh, that's
But yeah, talking about this, that little giant, I've got the one that goes 17 foot or whatever.
Yeah.
yeah.
You got to use another ladder to set it up underneath.
You don't have to if you know how to do it.
Oh,
It's
okay.
doable. You got to walk it up on
Yeah,
each side.
Yeah.
But yeah, give it to somebody else that hadn't used one much, and that's like, even having them set it up, it's like, oh my gosh.
Oh yeah, no, I was explaining to them because we were in the bay the other day, and I was explaining to the guys like we're slowly break them in because we had one of the guys go with an installer last week that he was on a scissor lift, and they were still pretty high up in the air. But
Yeah.
like, I'm cool with scissor lift. Like I feel good on that. And it's like, all right, well, it's a good stepping stone to get you used to the height. Because I hated, and I still do kind of hate going up on the ladder, but I got instilled into me by my dad when we were, just an installer growing up is jobs got to get done. So you got to get up there and do it. And I remember one job in particular, my dad was still kind of installing here and there, doing the stuff that I think either I was chickening out on, or other people were. And we had one job where we had 2x2s about 20 feet in there, I want to say something like that, in the middle of a house, like a cylindrical opening in the house, like wherever the stairwell was, and we had to take the 6-foot little giant, open it up to tilt it, and completely extend it up, and then I had to reach 2 feet over my head to like, while hugging the ladder, and like the ladder is
you're like doing this stuff.
Well, at first my dad's like, I'm gonna get up there, and my dad, at the time my dad wasn't in his thinner physique, so his stomach, there's like, in my eyes, I'm looking at him like it's either I can just deal with this, get up there and go do it, and this is going to suck a little bit, or I might have to call the ambulance because I don't see how he's going to make it up there and this ladder, not come off the wall, or him come off the ladder.
Angle of it.
Yeah, and there's no doubt in my mind my dad would have got up there and got it done.
Yeah.
But pretty much he's looking at me like, if you don't do this, I'm going to do it. I looked at him, I was like, I guess I'm just going to go up there and do this. And and I remember doing that one job in particular kind of took away all my fear off everything else because nothing since then has made me so sketched out to where I was worried. Because if I'm hopping on top of an A-frame ladder, especially a little giant, I can put a feet on both sides, or they'll stand on the top of it, which I've done. And the funny part is with most customers, they'll walk in, you guys have insurance, right? And then my usual reply is, you've got good insurance, right? And just mess with the customer. It's like, yes, of course, we're insured. Everything's taken.
Yeah, they have that freak out moment when you're on top of that 17-foot ladder, standing on the very top of it to reach this 22-foot top of a window, and they're going, is that okay?
It's not seem OSHA approved.
Like, just don't pay attention.
Oh, usually it's, I'm going to go in the other room. Let me know if you need anything. And it's like,
I'll have to do that with
loud noise. Please come over here.
I have to do that with contractors all the time. It's like, you really want me to do that? Because it's not real.
Oh, we've had a couple of jobs. I just bid on a job recently to where it's in the beginning stages of it. It could be a monster job, but like I bid it and like I know how we're gonna do half the job.
Yeah,
the other half is, I guess if it goes all the way through the approval process, we're gonna figure it out.
I had one of those years ago after I came back from Washington D.C. Texas Motor Speedway Club. The guy they called me, and another guy went and looked at it, and he's like, I don't know how to do it. We can't get to all the windows. It was 2 stories with a curved staircase, bars that all come out in front of the windows and stuff, and the guy's like, it's 40 feet in the air. He's like, well, can you get it done? I was like, I'll figure something out. We'll figure something out.
Yeah. It usually tends to be a 10-inch response.
Yeah. And they were like, well, okay, job's yours. I'm like, oh, wow, okay. Now what do I do? That was one of those ones I ended up calling a scaffolding company. They had to build scaffolding all in through the bars and around the staircase, and shut everything down for like a week. But it was the only way to get it done.
Yeah.
But they wanted it done because their wood was fading.
Now, there's always a way to figure it out. You definitely have to be resourceful.
Because I was like, how can I get a lift up here and get in there and do that? And we can't get in that corner. And
so you just brought up D.C. That was definitely something that we wanted to talk to you about. So in 2001, after 9/11,
yes,
the Capitol was already being tinted with security film. 9/11 happens, and then that project gets pushed through to be done faster.
I don't know for sure if the Capitol, it might have been planned, but I don't know if it had been started.
So the story I heard was that somebody was already doing it, one of the dealers in the network, and had possibly already even done the side of the Pentagon that got hit.
Yeah, it had safety film on it. I don't know if he had done it.
Yeah.
But he had done a lot of government work, whoever it was. I don't remember what company it was. But he basically called Solar Guard up and he says, they gave me the Capitol. I got 3 weeks to get it done after 9/11. I need help. They're like, well, what do you got? I got a blank piece of paper. He hadn't even measured it, nothing.
Yeah.
And so they asked, a bunch of, especially the Panorama dealers, they were like, hey, you want to go for 2 weeks? It was like 2 weeks worth of work, and then they were going to get other people. It was like 50 people at first, but it ended up being, House of Representative offices, FDICA building or whatever. I don't remember. Library of Congress.
Yes, I remember
I
when
ended
it
up being there
popped
6
up.
weeks.
I was going to say 3 weeks. There's no way in hell 3 weeks.
We put everybody on, and everything but the rotunda was done in 3 weeks.
Well, I didn't know it was that fast. I thought
I
it
did
was.
not know
I thought
that
it was
fast.
months. That's crazy. So
I was there probably 6 weeks? Because we had just started building a new house, the one that you came. That house, my first son, Cody was 8 months old. So I was like, and work was kind of like, oh, nothing was going on, and it was like, okay,
Yeah.
let's go. And there was by the square foot, and they were paying, and they had carte blanche, man. There was everything we asked for, they gave them. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, I remember my dad bringing it up, and unfortunately, I wasn't old enough at the time, so I was like, no, you can't go. I was still in high school, and I was just like, man, because I heard what they were paying. What was it?
I don't remember if it was $1 a foot or something, but I mean, way back then, $1.50. But I mean, it was like,
Yeah, it was.
but it was unlimited amount of work. It was
Yeah.
crazy. Some of the stuff we went through and did, and you'd walk around in an armor coat shirt, and those people thought you were like the world. They're just gonna save us, and I was like, no, not really, but
I've heard so many stories
Slow
about that
stuff
job.
yeah.
So weren't there all kinds of like crazy tunnels to get around to stuff? And
Oh, yeah, all
getting
those
shut
buil-
down because the anthrax scares, and like I've heard some of these stories, but like,
So
how
we
did that go for you?
So we got shut down because of anthrax, and then we all came home because they were like, we don't know how long it's going to be, and it was 4 or 5 days, and then we went back, and they were like, when we get back, and they were like, oh, you need to be tested. So we're standing in this line, and I mean, these people would come through there like they were going to die, and we're all like, what's going on? That's no big deal. We get in there, and they're like, oh, it's been too long if you were exposed, so they gave us some, I don't know if it was penicillin stuff or something. They're like, take this for 90 days. Just take it.
Oh
Awesome.
wow!
Thanks.
Yeah.
It's been too long. Just take this.
We can't test you because it's been too long. So I'm in line or whatever, and I call Karen, and I'm like, hey, look on my worksheets, see if I was in any of these buildings or offices and whatever. And that's one of them came up where they found anthrax, and we had been in there doing the windows.
Oh wow!
We laughed. We're like, yeah, we probably drugged that stuff around the building with like tarps.
Man,
There was like a Sunday in the House of Representative offices. They were supposed to open all the offices. We got there because most of it we did at night work, but it was so we were working during the day, and they didn't come open the offices. So we're all laying around in the hallways. Well, the mail would be in bundles in front of their offices, and we were like using that for pillows, just laying there on the floor sleeping, waiting for them to open these offices, and then they come back with all this anthrax stuff, and we're like, oh, cool.
that's wild. So that was it? All 14 mil with attachments, or were you guys doing?
No, 14 mil on the first. I don't even know if they did attachments back then. It was 14 mil on the first floor of most of those buildings and 10 mil on everything above.
Okay.
Yeah, that was one of the first big things, they'd been doing safety film and probably some attachment stuff, but it's not nothing like it is nowadays with all the school stuff.
Yeah.
But the House of Representatives office, one of the older buildings, the Capitol, most of those were like wood frame colonial windows.
I was going to say, how were the panes?
Yeah.
So, I remember one guy put his hand through a window, because it was 200-year-old glass.
Wow.
Yeah, and but yeah, the wood frames wouldn't hold up. There's no way. But that was their Band-Aid quick fix,
Hey, look, we're doing something type thing.
Yeah.
That's wild. Yeah. So a couple of years later, we ended up getting the Henderson City Hall building when it was being built. I was like 18 or 19. That was my first big
Yeah.
project of like 16-hour days, 2 weeks straight. Like I put my first down payment on my first home at like 19 from the money I made from that job.
Oh yeah.
How nice was it to walk up to a window and just stick film? You're welcome.
Yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
It was great. We were installing between 500 and 1,000 square feet a day each installer because we
Oh,
would
yeah.
just walk in a room and install. And
Yeah, it's just
day after day after day.
unlimited.
It was pretty nice.
They get to the end, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I'm going room by room, clearing out all the concrete or construction dust in the seals,
Yeah.
cleaning the window, squeegeeing it to where they could just literally walk up and peel and stick it, and then peel and stick. And
So you had the bad part.
yeah, but I can't necessarily complain. I think I was like the first part of that job. I think I was 13 or 14. I think I made like $2,000 in a week. So it's I had nothing to complain about.
You're right.
yeah.
So, but
That child labor deal going right there.
Oh well, the second leg of the job I couldn't even participate on because they tried
Figured out.
awarding. Well, they tried awarding the job to another company, but even though it was a government job, so lowest bid should have won, and we ended up finding out we were lowest bid. But they tried saying that they had to provide hard hats. My dad's like, "Are you serious?"
Yeah.
Because a hard. You said you asked if we were going to get them. You said no, you can borrow them. We can borrow them. And then they tried saying because I was on the job and because too young, not getting paid enough, and it was just like I got paid plenty, and I wasn't on. I will say I wasn't on the job as long as obviously as they were. They worked much longer hours than I did. I was there the times I could be there.
Right.
I did. I
Still at
hustled, I did
school.
my thing. Yeah, I hustled, did my thing, and it is what it is. So
Yeah.
we got the second bid after that, and then when we got to the third bid, they tried opening it up to contractors.
Right.
And then they realized that in Las Vegas or in Henderson, you don't have to have a contractor's license to bid on a tint job.
Right.
So we showed up, and we should have been awarded the job because we were the only tint shop. My mom and dad showed up to the meeting to do the bid or even to go through the process of giving the bid. And they said at 10 o'clock, the doors are shutting.
Yeah.
10 o'clock rolled. My parents were the only ones there.
Yeah.
They should have shut the doors. They left them open for a little bit. They let one other person in. And then when my dad was bidding that job, he had two different prices. He had the price in his mind that was going to win the job.
Yeah.
And then the price that was like twice as much of like, I had to deal with the contractor to deal with this job, all the nonsense we had to deal with. Like we ran into numerous windows that had weld marks all over them.
Oh, yeah.
Tinted them. And they're like, what's all this? And like, we told you that's weld marks. You guys told us just to do it. And my dad told me like, we're going to remove this one. We're going to show you what it is. And then any other one that you point out that you say that it's something that we did, we'll take it off and show you, but you're going to pay us to put it back on.
Right.
I told you, this does nothing to do with this. This is your guys cutting metal to the windows. So
They're
moved
building
along.
that building. And a lot of it will be like the sprinkler pipe guys will cut their pipe, and they don't protect the windows, or they'll come in there and cut concrete up, and
I didn't realize what that was from when we'd come across it when I was younger. And the job that I actually went on where I finally realized it was while I was in Dallas, went on a commercial job that was still under construction. And on the other side of the room that I'm working on, there's somebody sitting there cutting, and I'm watching it happen. And as I'm coming across the windows close to where he's at, I'm like, oh,
no,
these guys are cutting metal next to the window. That makes sense. I still come across that now. It's crazy.
No, it's amazing how much they just trash it and then don't think twice about it. None of them do.
Yeah.
You point it out to some guy at one point, and contractor, and he'll be kind of like, he'll kind of get the light bulb comes on, and he's like, oh, these guys are destroying this stuff, but they don't see it until you do, like, a lot of times put 10 on it or whatever. And it starts.
Clean the window.
Yeah.
Realize like, oh, hey, this isn't wiping off. Yeah. It's
Not going to come off.
Yeah. They just etched a bunch of metal into that window.
Yeah, that's another thing, like with commercial, and some of the guys I even had help me, they're not used to that environment. And they're like, oh, it's dirty. What do we do? I mean, there's the whole process you learn to what you got to clean up and how you got to go about it to get a good result in the environment they give you,
Yeah, the job we were on recently that actually we were using the lift, that was the scenario there. The building's still fully under construction. I'm like,
got there to start the job, and literally we thought that just looking at the photos that the outside of the windows looked like just like they're doing seamless glass.
Yeah.
So I didn't think anything of it. He gets there, he goes to start installing, goes to prep a window, and the window almost pushes out. They haven't put the outside of the
Oh, it's curtain. It's curtain wall, and they probably only had like
they just have the little
rubber
in.
blocks in there to
the
hold
top,
it in.
bottom side, and you're talking 3 foot wide by 6 foot tall windows. You push the center of it, the whole thing's bowing out.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
like,
all safety film or half safety film at least.
You can't push hard enough to get the water
I can
out.
put it on here for you right now, but I'm not gonna be happy with what it looks like because I can't push as hard as I want to push.
Yeah.
Luckily, they had somebody out the next morning to finish putting the caps on.
So,
Well, they literally told us. We called the contractor and told him like, hey, like, we can't do this. Like, this window's going to push right out. Like, it's not safe to begin with.
Oh, yeah.
We're not going to be able to put the right amount of pressure on this window. Glass company doubles down and says they're in there secure enough to where they can do their job. So I said, okay. So we're going to send you a letter saying that we're going to proceed with our job.
Right.
And we're going to put pressure. And glass company said, well, we'll replace anything that breaks. So I told him, I was like, just go there, do the job. He goes, I'm not going to be able to get enough pressure. I was like, you put enough pressure. If the window falls out,
Yeah.
not our problem. Like,
They said it.
we literally went over it. We've sent a letter to the contractor. The contractor, the glass company, is guaranteed that if anything happens,
Yeah.
that they're going to replace it with no questions asked. And the next morning he calls me and goes, glass company's here. They're almost done.
So that's actually really interesting. Let's get into we're definitely like two different style and sizes of business, especially the fact that we do auto and we've got a much larger crew. What size crew are you actually operating right now, and how long did it take you to get there? And you're predominantly commercial work. How does that work for you without doing advertising? Like,
It's just the relationships I've made with, contractors and glass companies, and that's where most of it comes from, I always tell everybody now, I've done it long enough that, that stuff just comes every day. I don't even have to hardly look for it, I come home and Karen's got all this paperwork. He's like, need to bid this, or here's some jobs, Mostly, the main part's me. I've got 2-3 guys that, contract out, installs and stuff. I've just got a new younger kid that moved to Dallas-Fort Worth that's learning, and he's a little more of a everyday. The other couple guys, they do they do a lot of schools for some other people, and I get them to do whatever I can when I need them on the bigger stuff.
so you basically built enough relationships with enough contractors, interior designers, glazers.
Not so much interior designers anymore. They were always hard to deal with.
Okay.
Yeah, but it's mostly general contractors and then glass companies.
They're feeding you enough work to keep you busy, and then when it gets
Yeah.
more than you can handle, you're using subcontract.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I mean, I've got those guys to install. It's finding somebody that wants to work every day and just show up is hard.
Yeah, I think that's the limiting factor for most people even deciding to scale. And especially, I think, like I said, how you've got it set up to me is like really appealing. And there's a lot of people out there that I feel do that, have a small family business where it's husband and wife kind of running it. And
Yeah.
you can get enough work in doing a couple jobs a week, especially if they're decent sized commercial jobs. Like, how are you on jobs every single day?
Oh
or-
yeah,
Yeah.
oh yeah. I could work more than I do, but after
Yeah. It's basically
40
work as much as you want to work, basically.
yeah,
right?
41, 42 years, it's like I don't want to work that hard every day.
Yeah.
I don't want to work on Saturdays anymore, but every once in a while you still have to,
And you've got the ability to come out here for the rodeo. And
Yeah.
Or what is it? It's
The NFR.
yeah, NFR.
Yeah,
I know you guys.
hang out with friends, and we got friends, a lot of friends that do, Texas music and whatever. There are a bunch of them playing, so yeah, it's enough to, and I've got the guys. They're back home still working, so getting to where you can take off more and leave them in charge with some stuff.
No, that's definitely, I would say what we're going after. It's taking what our dads obviously taught us, creating the networks and their business relationships. I mean, especially with contractors, it's definitely something that we have been growing.
Yeah.
I mean, we have just, that one job with going up on the lift, that contractor, like I'm not sure how, I think they might have reached out to us, but our sales rep, she talked to him, and then me and her came up with pretty much, we sent him a scale of, here are all the films that we have. Here's what we would charge. This is what we charge as
Right.
normal person. And then this is what you're going to pay. Because at the time when they were trying to get us to bid, it was bidding blueprints.
Yeah.
The building wasn't standing at the moment.
Oh yeah,
So-
that's a lot of what we do is, you'll do, and there's several different things from Plan Hub to Building Connect. You can get on those sites and get an account and just put in what you do as far as like window film, designer films. You can look in window coverings. And they will just send you, it just comes in daily or weekly, the bids that are out there, and you can bid off of that.
So which program are you? So do you subscribe to both of them? Would you recommend subscribing them?
Oh yeah.
Which ones are they again?
Plan Hub and like Building Connect, and there's several other ones that we get stuff sent to us from. Some of them are easier to work with than others, But yeah, you can get on those and put in the input you want as far as like window films and stuff, and it will for your area or whatever, and it will give you what's out there to bid.
So that would be beyond. I know Panorama sends us because we're both Panorama dudes.
Yeah, and they have some guys. You know, Tom Foster used to do a lot of that. They've got a new gentleman that's, I don't know how in depth he's going to be with that. You know, they were doing all the trying to get spec'd more, but you know, Tom was the one that was always like going through those prints and then, you know, sending them out to the territorial managers, you know, to send to the dealers, you know, if you're part of the Panorama program, you know, and you'll get those. But there's like, you can get on there all the time. There's schools and commercial buildings and stuff always. You know, it could be a fast food restaurant or it could be an office building.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, no, that's definitely the area we want.
And designer, the decorative film is crazy.
Yes.
And so much of that you'll find on those sites. And I mean, even property management companies, you can make connections with those, and you'll get your, you know, and if you get in good with them, it's like they're gonna tell all their tenants, you got to use this guy because this is who, you know, he's doing what, and you know, because they a lot of them don't want just everybody going and getting something different, you know, and that way it keeps it uniform. Like I've got several buildings that do those community or the small office spaces, you know, where one of them's called spaces, but you know, you can rent a small office and they have all the conference rooms and stuff you share, you know, and I got one of those guys, and those people are moving in and out all the time, and they gave them like 3 choices. So every time somebody moves in and wants frost or privacy or something changes, you know, it's like, nope, you got to use this guy. Here's the guy.
No, we've got an account like that. That's a salon out here, My Salon Suites, and they've opened up several different locations, but they're renting out spaces inside the salons, and they give them the option to frost the doors or not frost the doors.
Yeah.
So as tenants are coming in and out, we're constantly going to different locations.
Oh yeah,
either removing it or putting it back on.
Putting their logos on.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's the new thing we're doing is cutting out the logo on the front.
Yeah.
Yep.
The hard part of that is trying to find, because at first it was me kind of talking with the lady that owns everything.
Yeah.
And she was like, can we cut me out of this? Just because it made sense too. Like, I'm talking to her, she's talking to them, and back and forth. So now I'm talking.
And it gets drug out longer, and then the tenant's going, how come I can't get what I want done?
Well, it's not even
What
just
is
that.
this?
They'll send me a logo where I'm looking at the logo. It's like, guys, this is 2 tones.
Yeah.
You have frost and you have cut out.
Yeah.
And I get a logo that's like 6 colors all bunched together. I'm looking at it, I'm like, yeah, that can't be done. Or it's like intricate design.
Yeah.
Like a bunch of little lines all over the place. I'm like, that's, again,
That's not going to work out.
it's not going to work. So now we're in the...
Yeah, if you can blow it up enough, sometimes you can make it work, but a lot of times the door's not big enough for something and it's crazy.
Yeah, and it's just not going to cut as good as they think it's going to, or they think it's like almost like a print, like it's going to stick out. It's like,
and the weeding time to do some of those intricate ones, I've done plenty of them, is like, it's almost like you can't charge enough.
Yeah,
they see you come out, stick it up, and think, oh, okay, and this is what it was, and it's like, well, that took me like 4 hours to prep before I ever showed up here.
No. And then having to let it dry before you can remove the application too.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's
Yeah, it's like, I'm gonna go have a lunch. I'll be back this afternoon.
Yeah. No, I think that's something new I'm gonna start building into when I talk to them, is because like the ones I've done recently have been simple enough to where I can bring a heat gun, kind of warm the glass.
Oh yeah.
And then just get it done right then. But like some of the new ones I've been getting, I'm looking at them like, I'm just gonna set a new standard to where it's like, I'm gonna stick this. I'll be back tomorrow.
Yeah.
It's gonna sit like this for a day, and I'll come tomorrow and it's just gonna come right off and
not mess with
go. Instead of me standing here for an hour, slowly trying to peel this off, and you take the air out of it, you peel it off a little more, take the air out of it. Oh, I got to readjust this, and it just becomes just like
and the frustration you deal with.
And then let alone if you rip something, which I've had that happen to me
Oh yeah.
before. At the bottom of it, like I'm lying.
You're right there done.
So I'll be back tomorrow. I'm gonna leave this on here for you so you have something. But I'll be back tomorrow. I got to go recut this now.
Yeah.
And it sucks.
Oh, for sure. But I mean, back to that whole deal though. There's like for us in Dallas Fort Worth, y'all are probably the same in Vegas. I know some of the stuff y'all probably have to do. You know, whether it's the union deal or you can get around that with the casino stuff. But I mean, there's so much building in Dallas Fort Worth, and like all these warehouses they're building now. It's crazy how much just work like that there is.
Yeah, I would say Vegas is definitely the Strip. We kind of, I would say we're not steering away from it, but we haven't turned our resources towards it, only because I would say in the past, not enough manpower.
Right.
Because the turnaround they want is they want it done now or yesterday.
Yes.
Which, with what you're going to feed work-wise, that's awesome. But then at the same time, price points, because of the crew size we had, just it didn't make sense. Now we're at a point where we have a big enough crew, or we're pretty much at the point where we have 2 solid installers.
Yeah.
With 2 guys that are still solid installers, but they don't know what they don't know. They're green, and they haven't ran into situations where they have to figure something out, which is going to come with time.
Oh yeah.
And then we have a helper he's already got to the point where he's 2 months in, 3 months, 4 months,
4 months in, but he's installing.
He's installing regular from cleanly, like on your average windows.
Yes.
So
that's pretty good.
Oh, it's
4 months.
Yeah. Well, the thing we figured out is in the past we'd keep someone prepping and not allow them to install enough to actually get good, because you just got to get reps in. So getting more reps in, like we have a spot at the shop now where if we're not on something or not busy, they can take practice reps on a window. And we've even figured out, rather than like, we've got extra scrap pieces of film for whatever reason, let's use that up.
Oh yeah.
Rather than just have them tint the window one time, set it, stick it, squeegee it out, cut maybe one side and the bottom.
Yeah.
Peel it back, wet it, make those cuts again. Like, practice your cuts, right? Like,
yeah.
You can get 15, 20 cuts out of one piece of film.
Yeah, just moving it over.
Get those reps in. And it's like that, we've been trying to be creative with that. Like, how quickly can we train someone? And most of the time, it's just a time thing, right? Once they get down prepping and they can prep a window clean enough that one of us that's installing can get on it and comfortably install it without having to like really pick it over and make sure it's really clean.
Right.
Like, okay, now let's start getting you tinting, and the only way to do that is they let them get reps. It's hard to do it as much on a job, right?
Right.
Like,
especially a house. Commercial job is a lot easier.
yeah.
Oh yeah, because you can let a little bit more go. Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying like you should, but I'm just saying it doesn't have to be always as particular.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
we all know what's good and what's that's too much.
But the thing that we'll start people on now too is like rubber gasket windows, where we'll pull the gaskets.
Yeah.
Like, if you've pulled the gaskets, wet inside that seal, wiped it out with a microfiber, and the pattern's been cut to where you only have to like cut the bottom edge, and then put the gaskets back in. Like, I can teach anybody how to do that fairly quickly, right? Like, just gonna need to make sure they squeegee it enough so they don't leave too much water in, basically.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing, is getting the squeegee powder down to get the water out.
Oh yeah. I've got one of the guys that's helping me. I mean, we got to work on that, you know.
Yeah, that's the number one thing I think we'll ever have an issue for, is just something doesn't dry because somebody didn't squeegee it.
Yeah.
It's like, all right.
Looks good. Yeah,
My dad famously would say, triple, double squeegee it. Like,
Like,
you gotta squeegee it
you got
three times.
You got to put everything you got in it. It's like you think it's like, oh, it's just easy.
Yeah.
No.
No, you can make one pass, but you have to do it properly.
Yeah.
Right.
You have to go only go halfway down, put the amount of pressure. You're supposed to put the appropriate amount of pressure on, which I think to begin with, people are just scared because it's glass. Like, I'm going to break it.
No.
No, you're not.
No.
There's no, like, unless that is, obviously there is a defect in the glass somewhere, then sure, it's possible.
Or it's some thin single plane.
Yeah.
For some
glass.
SSB,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. But it is
stuff, you don't
very rare right now.
see too much of that anymore.
No, you don't. And usually if you see a job like that, you're usually putting a more experienced guy on. You know, you're putting an installer that understands what he's working with. Just a regular commercial job. Put some pressure on that window.
Yeah, you know, and I mean, a lot of things is like just your technique. I mean, trying to squeegee way over your head or bending over where you're not getting your body in it. You know, you're not going to get the water out.
No.
You know, especially when it starts coming to safety film, it's even worse.
I like to keep it from like torso to like bottom of my abs.
Yeah.
Then
or
I
you
can actually use
you
my
can
core
bend and get your whole body in it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it-
and the pressure through it.
This is something I started geeking out on after I started doing jiu-jitsu, because jiu-jitsu is all about position and leverage.
Yeah.
And I'll like it. I started thinking about it more while I squeegee. Like, all right, like, use my whole body. Like,
Oh yeah.
don't just be using my arms. And what position can I be in best to get full pressure and actually get this window in one pass? I don't have to do it 2 times, and I know for a fact it's good.
Oh yeah.
That's the one thing I miss about installing. It was a second workout for the day.
Oh,
It's like, especially when I actually finally started getting into the fact of realizing, like, oh, this is a core workout. If I'm putting enough pressure in here, like when I technically wasn't in shape, it's like I wonder why. If anything, I was maybe a little sore or winded. Like I understood it, finally. It was like, no, this is a straight workout. Like I probably dropped more weight when I first started running. When I first lost my weight, I dropped it so easily. A, I was running, and then B, I was one of the main installers, so I was installing all day. Like I loved installing in the summer because it's a full day workout, especially if you're doing safety or removal.
Yeah.
Actually, as much as I hate removal, I do love removal because it's like I know I can wake up that day, and if I haven't worked out yet, I'm good. I'm about to go work out for the next 8 hours.
Well, you can come to Texas for a little while. I got plenty of removals. I got some old Annie graffiti we're taking up.
That's always fun, especially when it's old.
It's only about 5 years old, but a lot of it's been out in the weather for the whole time, so it's pretty brittle.
Yeah, that's
Man, it sticks to everything. Removing old anti-graffiti is the worst.
I just had one where for a time period, we were installing clear perforated screen. And it was working out until it wasn't. All of a sudden, within like less than a year, stuff's breaking down and fibering and shrinking inward. We stopped selling it because we contacted manufacturer like, oh, it's a 30-day warranty. We're like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and stop buying this now because, I mean, for the price point on it, what it was costing, it was like almost buying Highlight.
Oh, wow.
It's expensive. It only comes in a 54-inch roll, so you're wasting a lot. And I had to go remove, I had already been out to this customer's house once to replace one window, and it was like the same window again, was like even 10 times worse than the rest of the windows. And she's like, well, these ones over here are okay, but like these ones back here, I was like, I'm taking it all. And like for the past like 6 months, it has to be either him or me. I can't send an installer on that. Like I'm eating my shorts when it comes down to it.
Yeah.
I want to take care of my customer. So we're just going to put gray on there and, tell them like, hey, unfortunately selling the product and now we're having problems with it. We stopped selling it. We're just going to replace it for you. This is what we're going to put on. And that stuff comes off. If it comes off in one piece, it leaves all the glue and it is that sticky, like you touch it, it's just like,
oh yeah. Everything you have when you're done is like, can't get this sticky off of me.
And then you gotta scrape it 4 or 5 times to get it all the way off. It's
bad or worse than the dry adhesive trying to get off a tempered window.
Oh, it's like the
comparable.
It's very comparable because it's pressure sensitive.
But it's all sticky.
Yeah. So you get that pressure sensitive stickiness, and then after you think like, oh, it's all clean, you squeeze the window, and all you see is an imprint of the film, and you're like, now I gotta make 2 or 3 more passes to make sure it looks clean.
Yeah, I've figured it out as far as like get it really, really soapy.
Yeah.
A lot of water and one long pass across the whole window. And if you've got it soapy enough, you can actually pull that wad of glue off the Triumph.
Yes.
And put it in a nice little ball and keep it wet, and then just keep adding to that. But then you got to go over it like 3 more times as if it's dry adhesive that won't come off because that light little amount that's left.
Well, and that's if it peels off. If it doesn't peel off, it's hard as rock. And when you're scraping it, it scrapes off. And like we're using the 4-inch like Husky scraper, so it's scraping off. Nice one, good pass. But it's so brittle, like I'm being sprayed
with the flakes.
With flakes all over. Like by the time I got done, like my shirt, my sunglasses, I had pieces of it all over my sunglasses. I was out there, it was 12 windows, and I knew it was gonna take me a good chunk of time. It took me like all damn day. Now most of it was ladder work. I had to get up and do a second story. So it is what it is. But it's like by the time I got done, I was just like, I really hate this film. I know like the time clock on that is like I think we got maybe another 4 or 5 months to where I know Tech will be on the hook for it.
Yeah.
And then past that, it's lasted long enough to where it's been the couple of years that we told our customers it's going to be, and it's just at least we'll be getting paid for replacing it.
I think I figured out why some windows are failing worse than others. It's because smaller windows we would just install dry, and on bigger ones that are harder to install dry, we install wet. I think it's the ones that we're installing wet that are shrinking up and having the issues. Like that adhesive is just garbage, and I'm just glad we're not using it anymore.
I end up finding
was that for like turf melting and siding melting?
We got a lot of turf melting out here, so we do those almost every morning now. Where there's a turf install, sometimes it might be 3, 4, 5 mornings a week that there's 1 or 2 jobs that got to be done. So typically, especially during the summer, we'll schedule it early.
Oh,
because you don't want me installing perf out in the hot sun.
Which you want me doing anything in the hot sun, and
Well, especially perf.
Well, now it's going to be film because I actually found a manufacturer that is going to give me a guarantee. It is conditional in the fact that they want to see they want a picture of the windows,
right.
picture of where the grass is, and then as soon as they look at that, they'll say, yeah, okay, we're good to go. But if they say it's good, they're going to send me a guarantee to hand off to the customer. That's always been my biggest drawback because even at Panorama Solar Guard, they have SX80. It should work, but they'll say it's not designed for that.
Oh, yeah.
They've seen nothing but success with it. So it's like, okay, I can kind of pitch that to my customer.
Yeah.
I got to tell them, like, hey, there's still possibilities could still not work because I don't want to take on the liability for, say, like a $2,000 job. Say I'm going to guarantee your $30,000 turf.
For sure.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that. So like this last SEMA, I went around to multiple different manufacturers and was talking to them, and I found one, and they're like, yes, we will, but we want a photo. And I was like, it's better than everyone else.
Right.
If I have that, I was like, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to sell a lot of this stuff because no one likes the way perf looks. Everyone hates perf. The clear was.
No, a lot of the customers with the great perf are actually happier than they think they're going to be. Actually,
right.
it looks good, and they're happy with it.
Right.
If they didn't have to do it, they wouldn't.
Well, then I can also offer here's a solution for your turf, but also this is going to keep heat out of your house.
Right.
Here's a twofer that's going to make them even more happier. It makes it
I've
easier to-
started to get a few calls about that, but we don't have the calls like y'all probably do here, you know.
Yeah, well, they're making it mandatory out here. You guys get rain out there; it's green a little bit at least.
Well,
are they
someday-
are they doing a lot more turf installs out there too?
I see more of it. I
Yeah.
think it's more just a maintenance-free deal for people than it is,
Yeah,
you know, we got to have it because we can't grow grass and we can't water it.
Yeah,
It's a maintenance deal.
yeah, they're paying people to any older communities that still have grass out here. They're paying you right now to take the grass out and replace it with turf. So turf's just gone in everywhere.
Well, you can't. Any new homes built cannot put grass in the front yard. That you can't. You just can't.
I don't even think in the
Wow.
backyard either.
No, you can, but it can't be more than 75% unless they've changed it recently. This last time when I bought my house I'm in right now, that was what was told to me. It's like
Yeah.
you can't put any real grass in the front. It has to be turf. Backyard can only be 75%, which I wouldn't want to do that because I know my water bill would be. And
Yeah,
I'm
no,
good.
the lake just keeps getting lower. So.
Yeah, for sure.
so with the small crew, because I know you have two boys. Do your boys, have they ever shown interest in getting in the business? Because I mean, I wouldn't say that we were forced into it, but we definitely we were shown the opportunity. It was more likely, I think we wanted things, and then my dad was like, "You're coming to work."
Yeah.
How old are they now?
Cody will be 23 December 31st. Justin just turned 20. Justin has had no desire at all. Never at all. Cody did, and he's like, oh, I can make all this money, but, he's kind of like a squirrel. I mean, he's here and he's there, and he's going to college, and he's not sure what he's done to figure out. Now he's, looking at trade school, and I keep telling him, all you got to do is come back home.
Yeah.
You have a job.
I got work for you right now.
I got work, but he's trying to figure himself out at 23. So
Understandable. I mean, I would say I'm partially jealous of that. Not to say that my dad never forced me to keep working in the company. He just always kept throwing money at me.
yeah,
So it always kept me here. That I just so happened to realize, like, okay, I feel like I'm pretty good at this, and then feel like, actually, no, I actually really enjoy doing this.
right,
And now I'm at the point where beyond installing, like, I do enjoy like the business side of it. Like it's, that's the next chapter right now is us trying to grow the business, train people. Like my next big thing besides winning the 10 off is I want to train. I want one of the guys I've trained to win it.
there you go.
I want to know what that's like.
Yeah,
That's take someone who didn't know what they were doing and have them be able to say that they're the best in the world. Like I look forward to that.
that would be cool.
And maybe I give him some pointers and he can finally beat me.
Whatever.
Yeah,
Like I've said before, I'm totally cool.
yeah,
The fact that that I have won it, so that was cool. I know you weren't there, but when you do win or beat me, it's still really cool to tell people my little brother who I helped train has won best in the world 3 times. So I was like, I guess I can kind of already say I've helped train someone who's won it. So let me know how it goes for you.
I think
when
I
you
just
get someone that you've trained.
I think there's criteria to that, claiming that one.
I guess you could say me, because we've definitely helped train each other. There's definitely been
Yeah.
tips
Bet
and
y'all
tricks.
have.
Oh, well, speaking of training, actually, this will actually settle something with me and him. Something that you told me at a Panorama meeting years ago that's changed the way I install, and I feel like it makes a huge difference, is a point of controversy for the two of us. Like French panes or windows like that have dirty edges.
Oh yeah.
Squeegeeing up your side edge to seal the side edge it's been a game changer for me, and I actually do it on more windows than just those now. So I'll tee it off, squeegee it, cut it, and most of the time I'm going to seal my bottom and then seal my sides up and out.
Oh yeah, for sure. I have an account with Quick Trip in Dallas Fort Worth and do all their mirrors with graffiti film, mirrored, and the bottom of those things get just nasty. You'll clean it all you want. The top, you have to, and that goes back. This goes back to even just doing commercial stuff, like you may be doing partway. Like the top of those mirrors will have a little track, and if you're not, and every once in a while I'd be like, "Where's this dirt coming from?" Oh, you don't think about it. Well, if you don't wipe the top seal above where you're working and stuff, that 90 pounds of water pressure is blowing stuff everywhere. So it's like you got to wipe down the edges. And so like the bottoms, you cannot squeegee sideways on the bottom of those mirrors because it will push water from the bottom. So you have to go straight down to seal that thing off. And it's the same thing. And I realize, and I tell a lot of guys that it's like all you got to do is watch the water. I mean, even when you're doing your sides, don't go so far that the film's going to pick back up and that you're pushing water and it's getting close to the edge and running down, because all that water, wherever that water goes, dirt's going.
Nope.
So it's like, I mean, I may stop 4 inches from the side of a window or something, and then cut it and then start doing that. But like I told you years ago, like when they're really dirty, but all that water's running down the side. So if you start at the bottom and work your way up, you're sealing that, and that water's running on the outside of the film, not under the film. And it will definitely, a lot of times, make it a lot cleaner.
Yeah, I've noticed a big difference by doing it. I know that you can do it by not doing it, but I've noticed that it makes a big difference.
No, I know that. I already know which building I might try it on. Waldorf.
Oh yeah, for sure.
It has black foam.
That'll wash under the film.
Yeah, that's been there since obviously the building was built.
Yeah.
It just turns into dust.
It's just dust. And if you like that window, I have it an exact way. I have do that window to where it's obviously factory top, squeegee, seal the top instantly.
Oh yeah, it's already
taking everything.
Well, and that's another thing. When I'll do my down rolls, it's like I will pull out more film than a lot of people do. I may pull a foot or something and really wet that so that I don't have to spray the top of the window. Just dust it with water so you don't have as much water at the top.
Yeah, we never wet the top.
Oh
yeah.
Hardly ever.
Yeah, if you don't have to wet that top, but I've watched guys that come in there and they just start hosing everything down. And, I mean, they're using way more water than they need anyways, and then they wonder where everything's washing in from.
Yeah, that's the way we train our guys, is like the top 12 inches of the window is not being wet on an install. You're gonna roll your pattern out enough to soak that, set your top edge, because
as you spray that little bit, you can get a little dusting of water up there, but you're not gonna. You don't want a lot.
Yeah, gravity's gonna work against you on that one.
Well, yeah, any pain that is that bad, like if I have a pain that's really bad, and if I'm not pre-cutting just because I'm just being stubborn, it will be, I'm not wetting the window at all. If I have someone else with me, it's peel my window, soak my pattern, don't wet the window. And I like the way, I like the way you're wording it. Watch where the water goes.
Yeah.
That's because that's the main thing. It's like you're like, well, where did this come from?
And it's like it's the whole thing. Y'all know, it's like getting fingers in the side of it, and you've got this thing, and that water's gonna funnel right in there all the way down the window. So that's a lot of times why I will start at the bottom just to set those edges, and then you go over and start doing your hard squeegees, but you just get it set and kind of sealed up so that water's running on the outside of the film and not underneath it.
See, like for me, what I would do for that, for Waldorf exact for that job, is I would squeegee out the whole window, leave about that much to where I know the water's not coming back in.
Yeah.
And then after I cut, trim out my corners, cut my sides, and then it's paper towel and squeegee.
Yeah.
And just all the way down. It's just so seal and take the water off. Because if every time I've done it any other way besides that, it ends up having dirt in the window. Like
Yeah,
Like,
'cause that water's running down there and it's getting under the film before it's sealed.
Yeah, that,
Yeah.
and then with the paper towel is accomplishing the same thing he's doing, just from reverse.
Yeah, as long as you quick
It's
enough.
removing the water.
As long as you're quick enough and catching all that water so it's not running.
That's the thing. Is you have to. That's
But
the-
yeah, I think a
counter
lot of
it's
people,
quick.
I think a lot of guys, they just get in a hurry, squeeze it, and they don't watch that. I mean, that's that mindset of you know where that water is going, wherever that water's going.
No, I like how you actually, yeah, like he just said, breaking it down that way. Watch the water. Like,
Yeah,
that's a fundamental that you can apply to any window.
yeah, you know, and you can see it when you like squeeze you across that top or whatever, and you're sealing it. If you stop, like say you stop, and then you come back to cut it, and if it's lifted a little bit, it's there can be some dirt there because it's pulled it back in.
No.
As long as that film doesn't move where the water is, then it's just sitting there.
It's the same concept in cars too.
Yeah,
Like, literally, it's the exact same thing. Like, you have a felty ass car,
yeah.
and if you let that water just run down the side, you don't seal it off instantly and dry out that water.
Oh yeah, you're like even
Yeah,
I
you're
mean,
ripping it off and
not
replacing
that I mean, you know, I've done cars all my life, but yeah, you know, and you're trying to tuck that window down in there, and it's getting that little bit of water can funnel in there where you're trying to tuck it because the film's not flat, and you're just going, where'd that shit come from? That's where it's coming from, wherever that water can run.
Yeah. Or like cars now, you don't pre-shrink it or snap shrink it.
Yeah,
Finger pops up. It's going to pull water into
it's
it.
gonna suck it right back
You're
in.
going to have a bunch of dirt right in the shape of a finger because
being able to convey that message, that's I would say the hardest thing that we are learning. Because
Yeah.
in install wise, I can install all day long. Training someone to install, I've now come to find out, is
Yeah.
that's a whole different skill.
Well,
training
we've done it so long that it's just simple mindset for us. You know, you don't really think about it. It's just kind of, you know what you're doing, and it's repetition, and you watch, and it's like, okay, I'm not starting to do that because I got this problem, and you go through the, you know, and you do it without thinking about it. It's just your routine.
yeah.
Well, that's the other big problem too, is while training someone to doing something and not realizing the small little nuanced things that you're doing, because it's so secondhand, so it's just,
Yeah.
you just know what you're doing, and you're telling them, all right, make sure you do this and this, but you're forgetting about the 3 other steps that you're doing at the same time. You're like,
In the middle of all that.
yeah,
This is another thing that jiu-jitsu's helped me with a ton because this happens in jiu-jitsu class. The instructor will spend 30 minutes teaching everybody a move that you're going to get together with your training partner and do. And there's a grip here, a grip there. You got to do this step before that step. And like they'll explain it in detail and then you get ready to go do it. And it's like,
There was too many
yeah.
too many steps almost. for you
Or
to
even
comprehend
they've
it.
been doing it so long that they even forget to mention different grips. And it's like everybody separates out and then they'll look and notice everybody's skipping something like, oh yeah, I forgot to mention this one little detail is everything.
It makes it all flow
All right,
together.
Everybody back together.
this connects everything.
I forgot to tell you that I was doing this while I was explaining everything else. And it's like, now while teaching people how to tint, I have to catch myself. Like I know I just did probably 6 things that I didn't explain because it's just like, it's so obvious.
It's
to
second
me.
nature.
Yeah, like,
Yeah.
and you watch them do it and you go, oh, I didn't explain why not to do that. Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
It is that is a hard thing for us. Guarantee it.
So how long have you been installing now?
How long?
Yeah. How many years?
41.
Well, okay, so that's gonna be what got you into tinting then? I will say, like, I ended up coming to find out a little bit, did a little background research that you were going to college.
Well, it was before that. It was in high school. 16 years old.
See, this seems to be
Got a driver's license. Bought a new pickup. It's like there was 2 places in town that did that. I was like, oh, I can do that. This can't be that bad. Oh, it's terrible. To look back, you look back over the years, you know, and you go, how would I think that was even acceptable for me? You know, you go to the auto parts store, you buy some film, you know, you do a back window in like pieces because you tore the film or something the first time, and you know, you could see all the trash. And then when I started, you didn't even roll the window down to tint the window. You just it was all felt, and you just cut it. I mean, that's how the shops were doing it. Nobody rolled the window down to even think you could get to the top edge. It was like, oh, you can roll the window down. And it's probably funny for y'all because y'all probably never seen that.
Yeah, well, we've heard the stories from our dad and everybody we've talked to that started early on, 80s, late 70s. Everybody has that similar story. I got a car and I wanted to tint it, so
Yeah.
I tinted it. And
You
then I
know, and then it
realized
was,
I could do my friends.
yeah, then your friends are all like, oh, can you do that? Well, I guess so, you know, and then be like, you know, we'd be in high school and they'll be like, man, I'll buy the stuff and some beer if you'll throw that on my car, you know, and I helped another guy learn. And then when I graduated in '84, he had gone to work for a shop in Arlington there. He was like, hey, they need an installer. You want to come work? I was like, okay.
All right. So then you go to college. What were you going to college for?
Well, accounting degree, business degree, you know, but so I was supposed to go away to college and I didn't because, you know, it was 1984 and I was probably making 18 years old, making $1,000 a week.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean,
So it's hard to go. So then I went to junior college and then I ended up at UTA after a while. And, but yeah, I worked for that guy for like a year and a half. Then another guy that came to work, we had a shop for probably a year or so. And then I went to work for a lady and then I was like, I'm done. I'm just going to go to college and finish, you know. And everybody was like, no, I need my car attendant. And I was making more money in my parents' garage than going to college.
so then were you doing any flat glass at that time? When did you get into flat glass? Because I know that's auto's gone now. What made that decision for you? Like,
Well, we probably done some here and there and all that time, but it wasn't real prevalent at that point. So I was going to college. I went to work for a guy because I got talked into it for like a month. They needed an installer. Well, it was terrible. I didn't make much money. And so, but I got hooked up with a conversion company that was doing trucks. And so when I quit that deal, I went out there a couple weeks later and was like, hey, y'all need a window tinter? And the guy's like, yeah. So I was going to school. Well, that ended up like blossoming crazily to like doing 25 trucks a day for all these conversion companies.
oh, nice. Yeah.
You just show up. Showed up in my Blazer with my film, no rent, no nothing, tinted trucks all day long. But did that for probably 3 or 4 years, and then that business started dropping, and that's when Solar Guard was like, you might want to look at flat glass. You know, it was starting to take off, more residential stuff, you know, and that part of it was, and it was like either get a shop to do automotive or look at doing something else. And that's what got me going down that path of flat glass.
I would say that's you. Solar Guard's still doing the same thing. I mean, from what Misty and Michelle told me is that Nick brought a couple guys to the parent meeting that they were auto shops and that he's trying to get them to come over to flat glass.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what spurred us doing this because eventually, I mean, our plan is, and still it's going to happen, is to stand up like a flat glass academy.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I can take an auto installer, guys. Someone who's been working with auto film for a career, I can convert that person probably pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Because they already know the ins and outs of films, working with it. Because that's,
I understand the fundamentals of, you know, not lift the film, what dirty is or isn't.
getting comfortable with film in general is one of the hardest parts. When people first start working with the film, that's like one of the first things that we teach when we onboard someone for flat glass or for
Right.
the auto side is either you're cutting patterns, so you're taking the roll and putting it on the machine, handling the film constantly, or the same thing in flat glass. We get you cutting patterns first, prepping, obviously, but at the same time, we start training you on cutting patterns because that gets you used to putting the film on the machine, handling the film, and then rolling it up. Like,
oh, that's huge.
Watching people that obviously have nothing to do with our industry try to roll a piece of film, you'd think that they're handling a piece of crystal. You're just like, and you're just like, wait, what's going on? What are you doing?
Yeah.
It's like we just grab it and we just throw it around, and it's just like,
Second nature.
come on now. It's just like, but it's just getting that rep of slowly folding over, getting used to curling in your hand that certain way, and just takes time. Just takes some reps.
It does. Yeah. I mean, I've seen a lot of auto guys though. You know, one of their biggest deals is, you know, like back windows, like the biggest thing they deal with or whatever. And you give them a 72-inch by 10-foot window, and they're like confused as can be because they're like, you know, handling that big a film.
Yeah, they don't have someone with them. They don't know how to.
Yeah, it's like, oh no, I can't unroll it. It's too big. It's like
yeah, especially the wrong film if it doesn't drop roll.
Yeah,
all of those little things matter a ton. The cool thing,
and we think that's nothing, you know.
Yeah,
and like it's the same thing as probably almost giving somebody that doesn't even know how to handle film a piece of film.
Yep.
Yeah, and it takes a while. I mean, they've got a heads up on it, but they're still like out of their element.
Oh yeah. No, see, like to me, you say 72 by 10. I'm like, well, that's 60 square feet. That window's going to pay nice.
Yeah.
as an installer.
You look at it as the install deal.
That's
It's like, yeah, give me 6 of those.
right there. Yeah, like you can do one window.
Yeah, give me 10 of those real
Yeah.
quick.
Job of 6x6s is always nice.
Oh, for sure.
You show up on a bunch of little French panes and you're like, I hate my life.
I hate my life. I hate my life.
This is gonna be a crap day.
But yeah, there's always something that's gonna throw you for a loop, you know. Got a guy, he was like, he called me the other couple weeks back, and they built a house, you know, and put dormer windows in it. And it's got a vaulted ceiling, and he's like, "Can you tint those windows so we can't see up in the attic?" And I'm like, "You're gonna have to build something in there so I can get to them. I can't balance on those rafters like that, you know." And then it's like 8 foot down to get to that part in the attic. You know, it's always a challenge.
Yeah, there's always something unique you're gonna come across that you haven't. That's the crazy. And you've been doing this for 41 years. Like I feel like I've been doing it basically my whole life. But the amount of unique situations that I show up on still to this day, that's like, all right, we gotta think a little bit on how we're gonna.
Yeah, and then he told me, he goes, "I have another house that might need that too, or something." And I'm like, "Well, you need to start thinking about this long before you get to this position in the house, when it's almost finished. I don't want to put my foot through the ceiling."
Yeah.
Can you let me know about this before the window goes in so that I can take it and then you can just install it up there, please?
Right after you frame the window in, let me get up in there before all the other stuff's in the way, and you can still get through the ceiling. There's no sheetrock or something. Did a Walmart warehouse in Tennessee. And they sent me all these pictures, and we get up there, and it's like they had a break room built, and they're like, "Oh, we need those windows done in there." We had to get a 60-foot articulating lift to reach all the way over it. And then the other corner, you couldn't even get to all the windows, so we had to go get plywood and put it up on the rafter things, and then stand there and hold the ladder for one guy to get up on the ladder because it was uneven and stuff to get to some of the top windows.
Fun stuff.
But it's like, you know, very rarely do I come upon a challenge, though, that I'm not going to try to beat.
There's typically a way to figure it out. I mean, I know that I've seen you on top of a ladder on top of scaffolding before.
That was across from Tyson.
Yeah, that looked fun.
Yeah.
I'd rather be on top of scaffolding with a ladder than something I've constructed.
I mean, we were fortunate on that job, though, that, you know, the maintenance guys were like, "Yeah, whatever you need." They had some taller ladders, so I didn't have to go buy a different ladder being out of town, you know. And they're like, "Yeah, just do whatever you need with the plywood, and we'll just pick it up there with the forklift and put it up there," you know. They were just wanting it done because it was killing them in the morning. I showed up for that job with 240. I had them bring me 240-foot lifts to do all the upper windows in that warehouse where they were having the sun problem and whatever. And then it's like, "Oh, now we need a 60-foot because it won't reach because you didn't give me the right information."
Yeah, usually what it ends up being is something like that. I mean, let alone the job we just did, showing up like they were moving aluminum beams out of the way as we're coming there to install. It's like you knew we were like, and they needed it done because I'm pretty sure we were installing and then they were building a wall in front of it.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, there were studs hanging to where it looks like they needed those tinted so they could finish building the wall on the inside that was going to be hiding the windows, and they didn't want to be able to see that from the outside.
So
They already had the studs hanging, and they had to take the lift and pull them all down out of the way so the lift could even go up to tint the windows. So we're standing there for like an hour waiting for them to do that. Like,
we had a warehouse not too long ago that it was 1,800 square feet of glass, and they had to pull all the windows out. We tinted them, and they put them all back in
nice.
because they built the whole thing. There was no way to get to them because, I mean, it was a warehouse. So it's 40 foot to the top. Like, it's your only option unless you do exterior. But, you know, and I was doing that with one of my glass companies, and they're like, they just charged them ridiculous whatever and pulled all the windows out.
Actually, the glass company that was there putting those windows in on that building that we were just at, I recognized one of the guys, and it was another job we were on probably 6 months ago, but that's how we had to do it.
Yeah.
well,
Yeah,
I was just about to talk about that.
Yeah, that was the same glass company.
Was it?
Yeah, he was like, "I told these guys we could have done this one that way too, and just pulled them all down for you guys, and had you do them before we even or actually, he was like, we could have just done them before
Done
we
them
even
before you put them in.
stuck them in." I was like, that would have been a great idea. Like,
That would have been okay, but like
yeah.
going there to take them down, put 'em
Yeah.
back up. That
No, he was saying they offered the contractor to just have us come and install the film before they even put the windows up, and I'm like, all right, well, next time, like,
Yeah, let's figure out how to make that work.
Let's make that work, because I'd prefer to do that.
Oh,
Create an assembly line.
I had one not too long ago. I told him that's what they needed to do, and he's like, no, I'm gonna get the mechanical guys to move the air conditioned ducts, and we still had to work through the ceiling grid stuff that was there because they were afraid they were gonna break the windows taking them out. I'm like, deal with that all the time.
There's always fun ones. That one is probably, I don't know how many other times we've actually had to have stuff pulled. I had one where they had to be pulled in Dallas because it was like over the top of a canopy that there was no way of getting on top of.
Yeah,
they had to bring a lift, and I don't know. That was a weird one. And that was like exterior frost.
Well, no, that's like even like the one we're about to do this week. Like it's most of the windows will be easy. We can reach right over. It's a skylight job. One's like 3x5, easy window. Walk right. It's a pretty much flat roof, metal roof.
Yeah,
like modern style roof. But there's one section where like the big opening, which at first, like looking at the photos, I'm like, if I can set the little giant up in here, set the skyscraper, we're gonna do interior just because at least you can have. Got like warranty, because we had to take some old exterior off that was on there when she bought the home. And like instantly I walk in, and it's like you walk in and like it's right there, but then you look down, it's got to open for you straight to the ground. Like I dropped the tape measure, I'm like, that's not happening.
Yeah,
it's like I think 30 plus feet to the top of this glass. I'm like, so all right, so I get on the roof, I measure everything, and 3 or 6 of the windows, 3 windows on each side of it, you have to reach out like just under 6 feet.
Yeah,
to where it's like you got to lay on the glass, which I know can be done. I'm not looking forward to it.
right.
Like, it's just like one of those things, which I told the lady, I was like, she's like, well, what's the process now? I was like, all right, just I'll propose it by the end of the day. I have to, pretty much, I got to figure out the logistics of how we're going to kind of get to these windows so I can figure out how much time it's going to take me, price it out correctly. Super nice lady, had a nice long conversation with her. I called it, I tasked him in the job, took a bunch of photos, tasked him in the job, sent it over to him, and I'm trying to figure out how are we going to do these. And it was perfect. So he's like, we're going to set the scaffolding up. We have the little giant scaffolding. We're going to put a little giant on each side. We're going to run the scaffolding across it. We're going to lay down, and we're going to reach down and just go ahead and scrape the window and tint it. I'm like, perfect. Now I can price this as just a normal job. Like that to me is like that's sketchy.
Like, maybe we're going to put somebody in a harness and hold some weight off the wall and lean on the glass.
We're going to put a truck on the other side of the house, tie it off on a tree.
Like, man, I've seen this reel before, and it does not end well.
I knew there was a way of doing it. I knew there was going to be a way.
Could you not get one of those little one-man lifts in her house? And
could have, but she was looking at it, the fact that
it's already got an exterior that needs to be removed.
So the exterior's got to get removed,
and it's in bad shape.
Well, and her thing was like, what's going to be the most cost-effective way? Because she was being straightforward. She's like, we don't stay in one place for too long. They had already bought in the house a couple years ago. They already did some remodeling to it, and she was just like, at some point, we're going to sell. We're going to move on to the next one, do the same type. So I was like, okay, and then I was like, well, best options, because the only problem windows, there's 23 windows. There's only 6 of them that are technically going to be a little bit of an issue. The rest of them are going to be easy. Even like scraping the film off, the film looks horrible. Well, I took my oath and I was hitting it. It's like, it's coming right off. I'm pretty sure someone put just regular silver on the outside, not exterior film at all.
It's just going to powder and come right off.
Yeah, like edges were coming right off. It was like, I don't think the removal will be hard at all. And the rest of the windows are easy, just reach, get done, not a big problem at all. It's just those 6 were going to be an absolute pain. As soon as he said that, I'm like, we can definitely do that. And that just made this job extremely easy.
Yeah, because it's a nice, big modern home. So it's got a flat roof. So it's not like you're on the roof tiles or anything.
Flat-ish.
Yeah.
Flat-ish. Got a little bit of
Yeah.
But
small slope.
But it's flat enough to where I'll be extremely comfortable doing that. Just bringing up a couple small little giants, putting it across.
Put the walk plank across it.
Yeah, and just, that'd be perfect.
Put some rubber mats under it or whatever, where it's sliding.
Sent over the proposal. I think she approved it later that day. Now we're going out there this week to go. And I like, even when I was leaving, she's like, you can use my house for like, if you want to take pictures. And it's like, I'm definitely going to. She has
this will be a good video.
Beautiful view of the valley. She lives on the south side of Vegas, and beautiful view of the strip. Lives right on the golf course too. So it's just like everything about the pictures is going to be perfect. To be able to take a picture of the film that's on there to begin with, which looks
horrible.
Oh yeah, there's at least 2 or 3 layers that are already missing. She asked me, like, what's happening with it? She's like, when we moved, she's like, 3 years ago when we bought it, there was like one little spot that looked white, and now you look at it, like, it's horrible. It's just all degraded, and it looks like it's gonna poof off like powder now. But it was scraping off fairly easy, so it shouldn't be too big of a problem. Like, I'm looking forward to it. I like fun projects like that.
Yeah, take the leaf blower and just blow all the dust away.
Yeah.
The powder.
I'm hoping it doesn't powder too bad. I think that it's actually surprisingly, because even like the edges, when I was taking the edges off, it was like just peeling off. And I was like, I know I'm not going to get that lucky. I'm going to get a little lucky on some of these windows because some of the windows aren't exposed all day long. So
Right.
they're getting there. So we'll see how the job treats us.
You still coming across a lot of CDA removal?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So just if you're listening and you don't know, film, pretty much all of it now is pressure sensitive adhesive, meaning it's sticky when you peel the liner. For a while there, a lot of manufacturers were trying to go with a chemical dry adhesive, which means when you peel the liner, it's not sticky. So it was fun to install because you could wash anything out of it and it goes right on. Installers loved it to begin with. Problem is 10, 15, 20 years later when the film goes bad and you have to pull it off, it is chemically bonded to the glass. And a window that's pressure sensitive film that you could probably remove in 10 minutes and have all the glue off, CDA, your lip.
2 hours.
Yeah, like
You
that's
might-
literally
And you might
sometimes how
still not
drastic
have it
is.
all. I just redid the little bakery or whatever it was going to be over in Dallas a week ago. And I was like, oh, it's not too bad. And it started off like it was good. And I was like, nope, it's CDA.
That is the most deflating thing in the world going on to remove the job. Like, this is one thing. It's like,
Yeah,
man, you
it's
hit
like half the
that first
it
scrape.
depends on how depends on how the sun hit the window. You know, some of them, you could peel like half of it off. You know, and then it was like, oh no, that film's not coming off. I'm scraping all of it, and it's going to be CDA. And you scrape 4 times, and then you look at it at an angle, and you're like, oh, I still see that.
Have you found any kind of adhesive remover that actually helps that? I know people have tried putting it out there and everything I've ever used.
Never had anything that works. I mean, they say
Fusion spray that they came out with worked pretty good. We got a bottle of it and we used it a little bit. And
the
then,
orange citrus stuff,
Yeah.
supposedly. But
yeah,
never had
They-
used it enough.
I've used it a couple times with a bottle that we got. It made it better, but it's still sucks.
It's still CDA.
Yeah, it's CDA.
Yeah.
Pressure
Yeah.
sensitive, that stuff.
And if
works
it's on
amazing.
tempered glass, it's worse than annealed
Yeah.
glass.
Yeah, especially the dirty side.
Yes.
That's typically.
But yeah, that is always the worst. Because yeah, you can go in there thinking, man, I got 5 minutes of removal on each window, and next thing you're 2 hours in it, and you're like, it ain't coming off.
Well, even with the installation of it too, it's still a nightmare because now you got to
Oh yeah, it's
dump half a bottle of soap in your bottle.
gonna stick.
Oh,
Immediately.
Yeah,
and you better be the world's fastest. You gotta squeegee that stuff out quick.
yeah.
Otherwise, it's
Especially if it's hot out.
Definitely can't put it on when the sun's on the window,
Yeah.
no, there's no chance at all.
especially on big ones. Yeah, I've had that happen too. And it doesn't matter. I've had some before where it doesn't. You've cleaned and cleaned and cleaned, and it doesn't matter how much soap you put in there. It's like it just sticks. Just sticks.
That is.
So yeah, I'm much happier that like Solar Garden, a lot of them have gone to PS on everything.
Yeah.
At first, I was kind of like, dang, the install's going to be worse. But after a little bit, you get used to it.
Yeah,
think
and they've done a good job of making everything still drop rolls really nice.
Yeah.
Because I know that was a big reason back when they kind of transitioned to it. A lot of the PS films wouldn't drop roll
Right.
very well. So whatever they figured out on still getting into drop roll is
Well, I think
huge.
I think that was the biggest, that was unfortunate result of the CDA is just like, oh, like this is gonna be amazing, and then after 10 years of installing it, all the warranty work coming, it was like, nope, we gotta get rid of this. That was 10 years lost of advancing PS.
Oh yeah.
And now they're at a point now, like I think the pressure sensitive glue now, because I remember working with pressure sensitive glue back then. If you got anything in your window, like
Oh, it was done.
yeah, just crumple it.
You can
put it
still wash a lot of it out.
New
but-
stuff, you absolutely can.
Yeah.
It's a lot more forgiving when it comes down to it.
Right.
Where
And I
once
mean,
they-
and they've told us for years. I mean, part of it is just with all the new glass and the coatings and stuff. That's the best way to go. Versus, you get some of these new low E glass stuff and coatings on Surface 4 or whatever, and you're never going to get that off.
Have you ran into any of those windows yet?
Not too many. I mean, I remember back in the day when we'd have single pane that were coated and it was a soft coat and you put a blade on it and it would just scratch. You're like, oh, I can't do this. It's like, what happened? You see scratch marks in it, it just goes right through the coating and you're just like, oh.
Yeah, it's like coming across tempered glass now that they've installed it backwards, and you got the dirty side on the inside. He's got
I
the
mean, people
scrubs.
say it's backwards. It's to them, it's not backwards. It's
Yeah.
just it's the side that goes through the furnace,
Yeah.
you know, on the rollers or whatever. So it's always more pitted.
Yeah.
Yep.
It depends on how clean their furnace is and all that. I mean, I've dealt with this with my glass guys. You know, I mean, insulated windows. Some of them, it is what it is. You know, it's the way they built it. If that's the dirty side, it's the dirty side.
Yeah. So if you're, we're talking a lot of industry lingo. So especially if you're someone who's getting into flat glass, maybe you're auto person, you come across a window and you run your blade across it and it sounds like it's covered in sand. Stop scraping the
Yeah.
window, grab a scrubby pad, and save yourself some hassle because you're gonna scratch that window up.
Yeah. And then and that's another thing with PS adhesive now, since it's thicker, it doesn't show as bad.
Yeah, we'll
Show
always
up.
try to identify any scratches in glass that are like there before we got it. Take pictures, show the customer, and if
Yeah.
they're light, I'll let them know. Like honestly, like the adhesive's probably gonna actually help hide it. Obviously, if it's a deep scratch, it's gonna highlight it, probably make it look worse. But
Right.
yeah, so with those real light surface scratches, that is nice. 'Cause it kind of does just make it go away. You really gotta
Yeah.
look for it to find it.
Well, it's just like it relates to paint protection in auto. Like that's one thing is like, do you do a paint correction before you put clear bra on? It depends on how bad the paint is, but if it's just slight swirl on top of the paint, don't waste your time, don't waste your money. Just put the clear bra on, clear
To
bra.
cover it.
Oh, it makes it go disappear instantly. If it's just like normal wiping,
Yeah.
because if you go to when you go to remove that clear bra, say 5, 6, say 8 years down the road, when it pops off, it's gonna pop off the majority of the glue. It might leave a little here and there, and then you got to get that off, and then you got to do a paint correction after that. So
Right.
if you paint correct to begin with, you're kind of burning your money. Like if any of the paint corrections for the installer, it's gonna make his life easier because it gives him a surface that's more perfect to install.
Yeah.
So now it's easier for the installer itself, but you're kind of almost charging your customer just to charge the customer. It's like, well, you need to do this. Now, if the glue's going to hide almost majority, if not all of it, I've had plenty of hoods where I've told the customer, like, I promise you, when I put this on, it's going to look gloss perfect. Put it on, it looks gloss perfect.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, that's something you want to worry about after we pop this off 10 years down the line.
Right.
Take it off, then correct the paint, and then you're good to go. But yeah, if it's a light enough scratch, same thing with like houses or commercial, if it's a light surface scratch, majority of the time, that glue feels it.
But yeah, but I mean, you're not gonna find glass all the time that's flawless. I mean, it's got imperfections in it. It's
almost
got
all the time.
scratches. Yeah,
Yeah.
the cleaning crew done it. I mean, I see them where they've banged edges and scuff marks in them, and that you can't get out. I mean, right
I
off the
leaned the
truck.
ladder against it, and it's got that little
Aluminum scuff in it.
scuff in it that will not.
Yeah.
We've got a van that has one of the side doors. Somebody leaned a ladder against it, and it slid a little bit. A little giant, and
And
it's got
scuffed it.
yeah.
Oh, I was doing a frost job, interior offices. First window I come across, I go to put it on, and I look out and I clean the window, and I see metal marks, and it's like they're perfectly lined,
Yeah.
like every foot or so. So obviously something was leaning against it. I go grab the contractor, I point it out to him. I said, "Hey, I just wanted to show you this. Do you want me to just do it?" And then later on, I'm on the other part of the room installing, and the glass company's there because I had to move up one of the doors.
Yeah.
Move the door up, and the guy goes over and shows them. They're like, I'm not sure what that is. Like they're trying to play
Play it off like.
it off like it's they're not sure what that is. And like in my mind, like if you guys have done glass for as long as you're stating you've done glass for, you know exactly what that is.
Yeah.
Stop trying to bullshit the contractor. If you want that to go away, unfortunately, you're gonna have to eat a piece of glass and replace it. Stop trying to get your way. Well, I don't think that was there. It's like,
And then it shows up worse in frost.
oh, it stuck right out. And to hear them try to explain themselves around it, I was just like, I had one of the new guys with us, and I was like, I was talking to him about it. I was like, that's hilarious. They know exactly what that is.
Oh, for
The fact that they're trying to play it off like it's nothing is just, it's comical. It's just like, stop trying to bullshit the contractor. It's going to get noticed. Like, it is what it is. It's one of those things that it just sucks you have to replace, but it's just got to get replaced.
They're gonna accept it or not. That's where you're at.
Oh, that's the line they're trying to tiptoe past.
Yeah.
Like seeing if they'll say it's okay, which I knew that the customer, the client that was having everything built out, I don't think there was a chance in hell they were going to be okay with it. I have no idea what happened with it. We haven't went back to replace anything yet. So, but it's like I pointed it out to begin with. It's like, I'm going to finish my part of the job. Like, I'm just going to show you this is here. You want me to keep doing it? He's like, yeah, just finish. I'll talk to the glass company. And he came back later on. I know, and me and him talked. I was like, no, I heard them. He goes, yeah, for some reason they think I'm stupid. I was kind of thinking the same thing. Like the one guy said he'd been doing glass for 20 years. He didn't know what it was. It's like, I know it. I know exactly what that is. I've been working on glass my whole life. You know exactly what that is.
But that goes back to like what you're talking about, the guys that are just getting in that don't know, hey, what's the tempered glass and the rough? I mean, that's one big thing that if you're going to do flat glass, you need to know glass.
So this is actually perfect. I wanted to ask you this. Advice you would give to someone who wants to get into doing commercial or architectural tint in general, what would be like, you've got 41 years of experience now, you built up a successful business. What would be like the most important thing for them to
Well, I mean, a lot of it's going to be those to do commercial a lot. I mean, it's relationships you build with those people, but you have to learn that business. I mean, I know as much about glass as half those guys that are installing it, when I go to these shops and stuff. I mean, from the type of glass to the coatings to, what you can literally put on certain windows and what you shouldn't. And I had a guy the other day, he's like, well, I had somebody tell me I can't put blackout on this tempered insulated window. And I was like, it ain't gonna break. You can put blackout on it. Seal failure may happen sooner than later, but it's don't let them tell you can't. You're not gonna break the window, and it's knowing that, whether it's right or wrong. But I mean, if that's what you want, I mean, we can put frost on there, we can put white on there. But if I can walk up there and tell you, I put blackout on that window, it's gonna break. Or I can tell you, no, it ain't gonna break, that. But you got to know you really have to know what you're working with. We're using meters, knowing what glass surfaces and but you have to know that. You can't just go in there, I'm gonna be a flat glass guy and just put film on windows.
Yeah.
There's a lot more to it.
Oh, for sure. That's amazing, because that's for sure. Especially if someone who's going from auto.
Yeah.
I know there's, everybody's heard the story. The auto guy just takes some ceramic auto tint and tints a double pane window with it.
Yeah.
Pop.
Well, yeah. Like I've got a job we're doing this week, and they called me and they sent me the pictures, they sent me the measurements, and they're like, we want a 20% something that's non-reflective. And I give them a price. It's gray glass. I'm like, you can put dual reflective on it. It's not going to look real reflective. They're burning up. They're like, well, is that ceramic? And I was like, no, but I'll price you ceramic. Priced them ceramic, and they're like, why is it more? And I was like, because ceramic's more, but ceramic's going to absorb more heat on that dark gray window. It's going to absorb more heat anyways. But on that dark gray window, you're still better off with a cheaper dual reflective film if you're having a heat problem. Whether it's going to do 80% of what it specs, probably going to do less because it's on grayer glass, but you're definitely still going to be way ahead of the ball game than putting ceramic on there. And that's learning and knowing that stuff.
Yeah, for
To be able to tell your customer, that's not going to work for you. Even though, I can make more money putting that up there, but it's not going to work as good for you.
Yeah.
Oh, that's literally what I had the conversation with that lady last week, the exterior, because I bid DX, because she had pretty much silver 20 up there. So
Yeah.
you already have pretty much dark film up there, and you have enough square footage where it don't matter.
Yeah.
You can go dark. You got plenty of light, because especially the back side of her house is just all glass.
Yeah, and you're probably you're wanting the UV protection and then the heat rejection.
Well, it was going to be either DX or it was going to be exterior Prestige 20.
Yeah,
And I told her, I was like, I have this from Solar Guard. I was like, I can sell you the 3M stuff, but it's going to cost you like 2 to 3 times more.
right.
Because of how much. I was like, this product is meant for storefront, front facing. Someone's looking at your house and you don't want a reflection. This is on top of your house.
Yeah,
No one's seeing it, and the heat rejection. This is going to reflect. It's not going to absorb.
right.
And it's like I can sell you this film. No problem. I'll make more money, but there's no reason for me to sell it to, because the only benefit is me making more money, and I don't.
And the end benefit for the customers probably not going to do the best for them.
Yeah, the DX is far superior. That
Yeah,
that's
for that application.
exterior.
And she went with the 5 too, so there's no.
Yeah,
That's got like a 91 T-Sir.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, and that's.
have you come across more exterior lately, or?
A little bit, but not as much there. It just depends. I mean, we don't have to have that much of it.
I guess commercial too. If you're doing exterior, it's gonna change the look of the building.
Yeah, and like I had one warehouse we had to put black vinyl on the exterior, because same deal, and they didn't want to pull the windows out. I'm like, but that's only going to last so many years. But the contractor, a lot of times they only got to work, they only got a warranty for a year or 5 years or something. They're like, they got a short warranty. They're like, cheap, whatever, easiest, and walk away because they're not gonna have to deal with it 5 or 10 years later. Where like on a home, you know. But I don't run into a lot of exterior.
So
Much.
the networking to get contractors, and is there anything special you ever did over the years, like going to like breakfast, like networking groups?
Yeah,
any of that kind of
I
stuff?
did all that in the beginning, and some of it worked, some of it didn't, you know. And it was this way when the truck business and stuff. It's the relationships you make with people,
Yep.
and they'll move from job to job. You know, most people get in the industry, like even a lot of temp people, they'll get in the industry and they try to get out, or they move on, or they go to some other shop or whatever. You learn that with those people, and like those glass guys. I mean, if they get, you know, unhappy one place, they stay in the glass business.
Yeah.
So you make that relationship with the person, not even above and beyond the shop. And when those people leave, you know, then they call you if you take care of them.
Yep.
That's the biggest thing is, y'all know, it's how you take care of your customers too.
Yeah, that's everything, man. I mean, you can't have someone referring you that amount of work without taking care of them. They're gonna,
Right.
if you're a problem for them instead of a solution, like they're gonna go find somebody who's actually taking care.
They will. But that's just it. And so, you know, like working with contractors, you know, especially the bigger contractors, those guys change firms and places, and as long as you got a good relationship with them, they'll keep calling you.
Yeah, as long as you show up, you solve their problem, you don't create a headache for them.
Yeah.
They're gonna call you every single time because they're dealing with so much on a job site. It's like, I know this guy's gonna show up and take care of me.
And it's the simple things. Like I did a college, we did a dual gradient, 1,100 feet last week. You know, dual gradient, whatever. Well, the cleaning guys are coming by. You got to watch that. They started to throw my box away, you know. But I've got my little pop-up trash can, and I'm putting my stuff in it, my trash as I go along, my liners, cleaning up. The guy's taking that out, and he's like, "No, I'm good." And I'm like, "No, don't worry about my trash." You know, and I get finished later, and I'm talking to one of the contractors, superintendents, you know, and he's like, "Yeah, I mean, it's those little things that you clean up and take care." He's complaining about the brand new carpet that they've all gotten dirty, and the guys that are just leaving, you know, they think, well, we got a cleanup crew. We'll just throw it all on the ground and let those guys will pick it up.
It's wild to me how many people don't realize how important that stuff is. I literally see people put videos out on their social media and on the internet of them just spraying down a window, nothing in the window sill, the ground's getting puddles built
Yeah,
up.
no
And
tarps.
it's like, they have zero awareness of like, all right, maybe that specific person didn't care, but they probably did.
Yeah.
But like, what are you doing? Like, keep a clean work site. Like, if that was your home, would you be happy with your wall getting covered in water and the floor getting puddled up? And like, what is going on here?
I understand that more now than ever. I think when I first was installing, I always thought my dad was just harping on us for no reason. But now I look back and like, shit, he was right the entire time, because like nothing boils my blood more than when I go onto a job site. Like we had one I think a year or two ago where like I walked in to this master bathroom, and this is a pretty like I think like a 4,000 square foot and like semi-custom home, real nice home, and they have a contractor in there redoing it. They haven't moved in yet, so it's pretty much almost like a job site, but it was already pre-built house.
Right.
And there's a new installer that we had brought on. I go in there, and he showed me like something stuck together, so he's trying to figure out if we got to use.
I'm on a tilt-up ladder in the other room, so I'm not like supervising him, and had no idea what's going on in there.
And it's solely on us and the fact that we did not explain to him like, hey man, this is how we run our job site. Right. There was a guy we'd brought in that he had already had tinting experience. I walk in, and like around the bathtub is like a 2x8 foot window going horizontal, and it's the bottom window. And he's got nothing in the seal. I can just walking in and seeing the glimpse of the glare hit the wall. I can see it looks like a fountain's come down this dude's wall. And then around the bathtub, it's like a puddle that goes out like 2 feet around this entire bathtub. I'm just like, I did not handle it correctly. I definitely
Not at all.
I definitely probably
Kind of lost you.
I will. You know, I could have been worse. I could have like my dad would have. It would have been 10 times worse. Like back in his heyday.
Yeah.
So. But I definitely, like, I literally walked in, I threw some stuff down, and, like, I went out to him, and I didn't handle it with him, either, like, wear the extra pads and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And, like, I think they were either dirty or something. I have no idea. All I know is I walked out of the house, I got in my van, and I drove down to Home Depot. I went and bought, like, 5 to 6 more pads, 3 to 4 packs of microfibers, came back and said, "Here you go."
Yeah.
Like I just it blew my mind. Like I'm looking at him like, how do you not see this being a problem? Like if the contractor walks in there, let alone the owner of the house, he walks in and sees this. Like if this is my home,
Yeah.
I'm losing my shit on you. Like
For sure.
come on. Like
Yeah. See, I've gone to using microfiber towels almost all. I don't even hardly use paper towels.
We only use them
anymore.
to dry the edge.
Yes.
But yeah, some of the guys that even work for me, I'm like, when I've got tons of them, take what you need. Use them.
It's mandatory on our.
Yeah,
website.
you know, it's like you're just wasting the paper towels. But no, have those. I want you drying everything up. I want it. I mean, I know things get wet, but you dry them up as quick as they get wet.
You know, as you go, because what's going to end up happening.
Yeah.
Make that person notice that small detail. They're going to be very happy about it.
Well, yeah,
And then move on with, you know, and they'll move on by telling their neighbor, like, hey, like they came in and did all this stuff, made sure all my stuff was covered. And because everyone has had that experience where someone's just kind of walked into the house with shoes on and like not put anything down, nothing's organized, and you just rip through someone's home. Like,
yeah.
some people aren't going to care. But
I mean,
people that
I go in these homes. Most of them, like so many more of them, have wood and tile now than carpet. But I mean, I go in there. I'll take a small tarp. I set it on the ground. Put my film handler on a tarp. I don't even just put the film handler up.
Yep.
You know, and then you keep.
Well, then plus it helps you roll your patterns up on a clean surface.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying a small one there, and you know, you put your boxes under the ladder or something, so they're on the tarp, and
Yep.
yeah,
That's exactly what.
small space, take up as little room as you need, and don't have your stuff just scattered all over somebody's house.
And if you set something down, paper towel underneath it. That's another thing too. Like when I see somebody like they'll set like a drink or it's something simple, and you're setting it, yes, in an area the customer says it's cool to set that, but
Yeah.
just put paper towel underneath there, because
Oh yeah.
just doing that customer is gonna see that and be like, wow, that's awesome. Like
Yeah, I mean,
they really care about my
I
home.
try to
And they're
integrate
really
in
cool.
everybody. It's like, no, I mean, it's okay. Okay, maybe you put some pieces of film on a bed or something in a bedroom right by the window or something. But for the most part, I'm like, you don't put your stuff on anything.
Yep.
Put it on the floor
Yep.
If they even
and put a towel under it or something.
Yep. And if the customer says, "Oh yeah, you can set there," it's fine. Cool, customer said it. Put something underneath it. Always. Just
Let's give
always.
the
Just because the
Customer-
customer says it's okay, don't.
yeah.
Still, you do what you know what to do.
You know, even like taking shoes off. Oh, you can leave them on. I'm like, I'm still gonna take them off.
Yeah.
Like that happens frequently. I think this is a good spot to end it.
Yeah.
Talking about quality, and
Yeah.
customer service, because I know that's where we lead from, and I know talking to you over the years, I know that's where you lead from, and that's the only way you can build up as successful as a
Yeah.
business as you have.
So, yeah, I would say definitely a good spot to wrap it up in the fact
Yeah.
that, yeah, the main thing, I mean, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, yeah,
Appreciate
totally.
Well, thanks for having me.
I mean, you're pretty much hammering home the things that I think that were hammered home on us growing up in the business, that to get to the point where you are, how much success you've had in our industry, quality, and then relationships. Especially that was the one thing I was happy to kind of get into was the commercial side.
Yeah.
What it really comes down to is building those relationships.
It does.
And taking care of those people.
You just dealing with contractors, it gets tough because, you know, they're always their attitude, and then it's like their time frames, and but it's a whole different world.
And something I'd add to that is building the relationships with other people in the industry. Like you've
Oh, yeah.
definitely gone out of your way to do with us, and the mentorship and stuff I've learned from you
Well,
over the years has been
and doing
appreciated.
commercial stuff, that's really good when you can build those relationships, because then you have other people that's like, hey, you know, I need help or I need this. Because there's always times that we can't all do it ourselves. You know.
I know Kyle came out and worked with you recently, right?
Oh yeah, he did.
Yeah, he was
Couple
one
of
of
years
the first
ago.
episodes on here. And
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had a blast. He came and worked for me with about a week or so.
I think that was when Ricky was running his race out there, wasn't it? He came out and did that.
Yeah, because I think he went and saw Sal,
yeah,
and then
Sal.
he came over there and saw Ricky on his
Yeah.
way back home.
Yeah,
Surprised the hell out of me.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, my greeting to him was hilarious. What the hell are you doing here?
Oh yeah, yeah. But I mean, and now it was he enjoyed it because that's not his normal, you know. I mean, he does some, you know, residential, a little commercial, but you know, to come out here and hang out with me and
Yeah,
do some different commercial jobs.
Oh, we really appreciate you coming out.
Appreciate.
I know we're keeping you from the rodeo right now, so we'll
I'm
go
just
get
gonna. Karen wants to go shopping, so
All right,
it's all
cool.
good. We're gonna go to Cowboy Christmas.
We've got
probably.
plenty of that out here.
Yeah, I'm gonna go walk the convention center.
Awesome.
You guys know how this works. Please subscribe. Appreciate you guys tuning in. We will keep putting out as much content as we possibly can. Subscribing, review. throwing us a review, whatever you can do. We appreciate it. Now, until next time, thank you.
Yeah. Appreciate everything. Really, if you stuck around to this point and you're that interested in the tin industry and you've got some questions, put them in the comments for us too. I want to be able to answer some questions from anybody who is actually watching these and give some feedback.